Hello and welcome to Wilde. Today I'm here with Pip Marsh from the UMA. Thank you so much for joining us today. Let's start the interview with telling us, where did the name come from? What is the UMA?
So the UMA, the name, the thing that has been called many things, from the UMA to the hummus to all sorts of things, was a point where, so when me and the guitarist of the UMA, Dan, were creating this beautiful baby we have, we had songs, we had management at the time, and we had a tour coming up, but we had no name. So we're like, what can we call this thing? Believe it, if I could find the messages, you'd crease, because some of the stuff is unreal. Like, I don't even like some of the things I come out with, like, when you think every idea is a good idea till you open your mouth, like that kind of thing. And then we just one night I got a WhatsApp message from Dan, and he just said, Uma's like quite a sexy name, isn't it? I was like, do you mean like Uma Thurman? He's like, yeah. It's like it's just like a sexy name, isn't it? I was like, it's cool. I like it, and it's also, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's also the name of a Hindu goddess. I was like, it is a really beautiful name. I like it. And then our manager at the time was like, guys, you can't go with Uma because there's because it is connected to religious beliefs, like playlists on Spotify and stuff. You wouldn't filter through because there's so much. And I was like, bring on the brains, bring on the brains. Just put the before it. Just put the before it. It'll do it. It'll cut through the crap. Come on. And then we tried it and it worked. The Uma, and thus the Uma was born. And then
That is the story.
that's the story. You heard it
So
from the horse's
interesting, and
mouth.
it is really original and innovative, and sticks in your brain. So you have done a very good job there. Tell us
Thank
how did the band get together? How did you guys all meet?
you. Years and years ago, I had the lovely day job of working in the magical land of Build-A-Bear Workshop. Like, we're talking like way back in the day, like 2009 or 2010 or something like that. After university, first job, just kind of like, it might have even been summer holidays. I can't remember. It was so long ago. And I met Dan because he worked there with me. And we just hit it off. We just had like a really good vibe. Obviously he's a little younger than me, but we still, like, we got out drinking, hanging out, listening to music and stuff. And I was in another band at the time. And then through Dan working at the same place as me, I met Ben, who plays bass in the Uma. And what's really funny is you ever meet people in life, right? And they stick out. Like, you can meet 1,000 people, but there'll always be a few people that stick out, and you don't know why. You know, maybe there's some reason. Maybe they're the love of your life. You don't know. There's just a reason. And he always stuck in my head, did Ben? And I don't know why, because I never kind of like, it wasn't a case of we were going out and partying or hanging out. It was just a case he'd come and say hello to Dan, and he always stuck in my mind. Pleasant guy, chill. And then, like, years went by. Dan played guitar in my old band for a little bit. And then after when that ended, we just decided to write some music. So we were writing music with my friend Alex Davis, who used to be in a band called Elliot Minor way back when. I don't know if you remember them or not. And we got to the point where it was like, what are we going to do with these songs? Because, it was kind of like, they were great songs, but what are we writing for? Is there a reason? Are we just doing it because, I mean, yeah, you musicians, you do it because it's fun. But sometimes when you believe in something so much, you want to you want to show the world, don't you? Do you know what I mean? No matter what you do, if you're happy with something, you're like, I want to show the world. So we're like, let's just start bands. And then originally Ben, I said to Dan, I was like, we need a drummer. I asked Ben, because Ben's one of these people who can do everything: bass, drums, guitar, triangle. Do you know what I mean? Cook your lovely meal. Do you know?
You name it, he's got it.
Like Jennifer Lopez on acid, like a triple threat, but more. Like, he's got it all. And it's like, well, why don't we ask Ben? So Ben was going to originally be the drummer, and then, I sent these demos out and stuff, and we got snapped up by a manager at the time in Los Angeles, and then eventually Ben just went, you know what? I don't want to drum. I want to play bass. I want to be up front. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. So we just had a session guy for a little bit, and obviously, and then yeah, that's how we had a session drummer for a bit. You know, we did a tour with Waster in 2019, which was our first tour, and then COVID happened, and then I'm probably skipping a few chapters here, but then we eventually met Rory, who I met on TikTok through COVID, who is now our drummer. And that is how we introduced him as a four, because we were always a three-piece. But then with Rory, we just thought, let's make this a four-piece. So yeah, alas, that is the Uma, four weirdos all together.
All together.
All
And
together.
when it comes to writing music, where do you guys get your inspirations from?
As musicians, individuals, and creatives, I think you can take inspiration from every corner of the world and universe and whatever. Like, I think everything every day can inspire you, but when it comes to kind of music and stuff, we're all quite different. So like, my favorite band in the entire world was Motley Crue. I love Motley Crue, but then I also grew up listening to a lot of pop and a lot of pop punk and stuff like that. And I've always kind of been a bit of a grebo. I've always kind of stayed there. Like, you know, I grew up with my mum listening to Black Sabbath and like just that kind of thing. Where Dan used to grew up listening to like Jamiroquai and stuff, and like him and Ben are quite into house music, whereas Rory just kind of likes anything and everything. So when it comes to writing, we were all very inspired by different kind of like, what we love kind of thing. But when it comes to writing, typically Dan Dan's what I call has the Brian Wilson thing. Brian Wilson for the Beach Boys. He locked himself in a studio and made that studio look like a beach, didn't he? He had sand where he put his feet, and he'd sit there for hours and just write. Well, Dan is a bit like Brian Wilson, where like you're not allowed to go near anything until he's happy with the idea. And he's a incredibly talented human being, and he'll get something. When he's happy, he'll be like, right, do you want to come around? We'll have a look at this. So Dan kind of sparks a lot of the original ideas. Like, we try and put stuff in and stuff, but once we all kind of feel we like something, then we all kind of like, okay, this is that. Let's work on that now. So Dan kind of like starts it off, and then we all kind of jump on really. And with the EP Enemy, that was obviously, you know, me, Ben, and Dan really, and we had a couple of co-writers in on it as well, like our producer Jack, and another friend of ours called Mike. So you know, it's I think it's good sometimes when you kind of have that initial idea and everyone's vibing off it, but I don't know, you know, they sometimes say too many cooks spoil a broth. I don't think that's necessarily true within music and film. I think the more the merrier, because someone's always going to bring something more beautiful to that, and you're not going to realize. So yeah, but I mean, in a nutshell, Dan is kind of the main starter upper, like, and the melodies and whatnot, and he might say like, how does this feel to you and stuff like that, and you know, I'll just go with it and oh yeah, I can sing that, yeah, we'll give that a go, and yeah, that's how it kind of goes out. It's great. It's a lot of fun. You know, you think of it, if I was to think about writing a song now, I love it, but it's like, fuck, there's a lot to do, but it's worth it, you know, because it's beautiful. It's creating something, you know, and it's great. We're all very specific with things when it comes to that, but it's great.
And it's really wonderful that obviously you work so well together, and you mentioned the EP as well. You've mentioned how you collaborate together and how everyone has their own kind of personality that they bring into it and their own traits, as well as obviously the musical talents. But what would you say have been your challenges when you worked on the EP together?
I think the biggest challenge we had like with the EP was the direction at first, because obviously when we first became a band back in 2019, if people listen to our old stuff like Wake Up and DOA, it's very poppy, like it's like a different band almost. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still some heavier stuff, but it wasn't who we were, I don't think. And I think COVID happened and we lost a lot of opportunities, like everyone did. And the EP was, I guess, a testament to what we're about. Dan just sent a riff one day and he said, I think this is the way to go. So it was diving into unknown territory. We're like, how are people going to like, yeah, we're not a massive band, but how are people who know us going to react? You know, with the small fan base we have, are they still going to like this new direction? So I think the biggest challenge was agreeing to go down that avenue, agreeing to say, okay,
Things up.
shall we do this?
Yeah, no.
So obviously every song that was written, it was like, is this too heavy, or is it heavy enough? You know, are people going to vibe with this? You know, or are we finding our sound? And I think a big part of that as well was we had a Twitch session with Jack Saunders, and he played one of our songs, and this was like before we started writing for the new EP, and he basically said like it was too much like our producer's band, and we were just like, maybe he's right. Maybe we need to be a bit more honest to ourselves, because obviously, you know, we were writing with Jack from Fickle Friends. We love Fickle Friends. We enjoy that kind of full pop sound, but is it us? So, you know, Jack Saunders kind of said that to us, and we just thought, right, let's just fucking come back and be honest. And that was the biggest challenge. Is this the right direction? Is this the band we want to be?
Yeah, well, you've obviously done amazingly, and the feedback has been amazing as well. And you have just played a London show as well. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we had quite a bit of bad luck recently. We lost our manager because she left the music industry. We lost our agent because she moved to a new company, so she couldn't take us with. And then we lost a tour we had with a band from the States. So because they pulled out the tour because of money, because of COVID and stuff, which is understandable. So we're kind of sat there like, you know, we haven't really got anything right now. What we're going to do? And then we just carried on plugging away, you know, writing music, doing our thing. And then our very good friends in Waster announced their kind of tour. And I was like, man, we need to get on one of these dates. And of course, Sammy, being the wonderful human being he is, he was like, dude, do you guys want to jump on one of these shows? And Alex from Waster lives up the road from me. So we do dog walks and we do lunch and stuff like that. It's great. And he was like, mate, we need to get one of these shows. I was like, yeah, cool, amazing. And then we got the London show, and we played. It was our first gig with Rory as our drummer officially. And it was the raddest show I think I've ever played with the Uma. We were first on, you know, because we're happy to do that. You know, there's no kind of like arrogant or anything like that. You know, we're a small band. We're blessed to have a slot. We played it, and to be an opening band and have the reaction we had, oh my God, it was amazing. Like, Waster fans go hard, and they went hard for us. I mean, I don't know about you, but how many gigs do you go to and the first support goes on? And typically everyone's just kind of stood there, aren't they, at the bar? They're not really too asked. That whole floor were pitting.
No
Like,
way. That's
they was
so
pit.
exciting. That's amazing. And obviously it's reassuring that not only that Rory fits in really well, but also that again that the sound that you have found, the change of direction has been the right thing, because people are obviously loving it. Have you got any gigs in the pipeline?
We're talking about things at the moment. That's all I can say. We're talking about things. We'll be and they're very nice things, and we hope it all works out. So that's all I can say. But we're blessed to have had the show just now. You know, like when you come to an Uma show, you need to it's very, what's the word, interactive. Like, I come off stage, like our bass player comes off stage. Like, if there's things to climb, they get climbed on. If there's people kind of stood there, like, they will be involved. Like, it's a very in your face kind of thing, which fits well with the whole new kind of aesthetic and branding.
Yeah. And what are you working on next?
Singles. We recently released the EP and it went amazing. Obviously, when you're an unsigned band and you have to pay for your mortgage at the same time, it's quite expensive. Kind of, you know, we do self-produce, but I think we self-produce to a point where Dan and Ben are very good at getting the ideas together, but then obviously we can't go with that. So we have our producer, who is the It's like a wizard. So obviously you pay for your producer, and we're happy to do so because, you know, he gets us and we get him, and it's amazing. So they all cost money. So we just probably spent a lot of money on the EP, which unfortunately didn't get the push we wanted because obviously the manager we had at the time, you know, decided that music management wasn't for her. And unfortunately with that came with a bit of a sacrifice where the Enemy EP didn't get any kind of love because it wasn't kind of pushed in the right directions. So I think now we're going to focus on singles, making those singles, you know, as rad as possible and putting our all into them, really. So that's the plan. Just work on new music and keep pushing and doing what we do and doing what we love.
That sounds really exciting. It really does.
Yeah,
Um,
it's rad.
on a little bit more of a personal note, as I feel like that's quite an interesting thing to ask, who are you listening to right now? They don't have to be new or old. It kind of doesn't matter. What bands are you listening to right now?
So I found a band about a month and a half ago because a friend of mine. So this is me showing my age now, but back in the day, there was a band called the Scene Aesthetic, and they had a song called Beauty and the Breakdown, and they were like MySpace emo icons, right? And they obviously dropped off the face of the earth because MySpace died and stuff like that. Well, they didn't drop the face of it, but obviously you get old and you get older and you forget about things. And then my friend messaged me and she's like, you need to check out this band. It's the guys from the Scene Aesthetics new band. I was like, whoa, I've not heard that name in about like 15 years. Like, what the heck? And they're called Shallow Diver. They only have three tracks out, but I will listen to those tracks until the day I die. They are amazing. They're such a sick band. So yeah, Shallow Diver. I've been listening to them. What else have I been listening to? I went to Tesco just now and had the new single from Waster on. Um, and what else? Let's get the phone. Let's have a quick look at the old Spotify. What's it saying? I've been listening to. Oh, and the Dangerous Summer as well, because they're very good friends of ours. And also, I've been listening to a lot of. So I was friends with a guy called Aaron Carter, who was a pop star, and he unfortunately we lost him a couple of weeks ago. A very good friend of mine. So I've been listening to him kind of and having a drink for him. So yeah, that's what I've been listening to. A bit of all sorts, really.
Did you ever get the opportunity to work with Aaron?
It was talked about, neither from the Uma point of view, but he was he loved my voice. Like I used to kind of like laugh because he'd be like, "Oh mate, you're next voice generation. Like, oh yeah, your voice is so powerful." Like, and I'd be like, "Oh shut up!" Like, you know what I mean? Like you do your mates. Like, "Oh dude, shut up." Like, we did plan to go over there before COVID and stay with him in Lancaster. Obviously COVID. And then, but yeah, unfortunately, obviously we lost him. So yeah, never got to actually meet in the flesh, but we were online friends for about 4 or 5 years, something like that. So yeah, so I've been listening to a lot of his stuff. He had a song called So Much to Say that he released before he died, and it's great. So yeah, been listening to that.
And lastly, if you obviously, no, unfortunately, you didn't get the opportunity to collaborate with Aaron, but if the Uma could collaborate with anyone around right now, who would it be?
I would love to collaborate with Shallow Diver. Like, oh my God, like they just, you know, when a band gets you excited, they just get me so excited. So I'd love to collaborate with them. I think we've always wanted to write with Dan Lancaster. We'd love to do some stuff with him. Anything would kind of bring me the horizon. I'd love to do something with Rob from Don Broco as well. I think that'd be fun.
That would
But
be
I'm
dream
quite open
collab.
book. Yeah, that'd be sick. I mean, I will work with anybody. I love turning up to writing sessions and just singing my head off. So like I am happy to work with anybody kind of thing. But I think for me right now, if I could do something with Shallow Diver, gosh, yeah, that'd be great.
Well, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that maybe 2023 will be the year of many a collaboration. Thank you
Oh
so much,
yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Pip. It's lovely, lovely to get to know you and lovely to find out more about the Uma as well. For anyone who has not heard of the Uma yet, all of the links are down below. So be sure to check them out, follow them, listen to their music, and go and give them loads of support and love. And thank you very much for your time again.
Thank you.